Part 78. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 771. Many of the military family members in the family compound arrived one after another after Feng Qingxiu went to the capital. They had never seen Feng Qingxiu at all. Now that they see her and Zibao, they are different from her in terms of dress, conversation, and temperament. They just entered. The troops were very popular. Several people, envious and curious, slowly gathered around after listening to Lu Zayadai's detailed account of their past. Seeing so many people listening to her words, Lu Zayadai's interest became even higher. Feng Qingxiu is cruel and merciless. Don't get close to her. Anyone who gets close to her will have a bad outcome. You must not know Battalion Commander Zhu wrong. Before you joined the army, Battalion Commander Zhu and his family went to guard the high mountain outpost. The sentinels are the troops. The most difficult position in the army. Battalion Commander Zhu has a bright future, but he asks to be a sentry. What do you think is the reason? What's the reason? Did you offend Brigadier Lu's family? Jin Feng asked what many people present felt. Under everyone's bright eyes, Lu Zayadai nodded vigorously. That's right. I just offended her. You don't know how vicious she is. The wife of Camp Commander Zhu was kicked by her on the first day she brought her child. He was kicked down and couldn't get up for a long time. Someone wondered, did you see it with your own eyes? Although I didn't see it with my own eyes, I heard it with my own ears. Lu Zayadai didn't even mention the fact that she arrived at the army after Zhu Rong and his wife and children had been guarding the post for a long time, nor did she mention that she heard what her husband said. If you don't believe it, you can go to the army and ask around. Who doesn't know about Feng Qingxiu kicking down Battalion Commander Zhu's revolutionary partner? These words caused a flash of fear on the audience's face. Is it so cruel? He could kick someone down without being punished, and yet he could make others suffer so miserably, that he could cover the whole army with one hand. Lu Zayadai said resolutely, of course you are cruel. Don't offend her. Who said that our revolutionary friends are not as important as Brigadier Lu? She is beautiful and has given birth to a son. Brigadier Lu is obedient to her. If things don't go well, Brigadier Lu will take it out on her. Moreover, she relied on her troops to come in advance. It is said that she directly applied to join the army after visiting relatives, and then fawned over the families of senior generals and looked down on us middle and low-level people. Family members of officers. I don't need to remind you. You just returned to the army last night. You will go to Commander Ye's house early this morning. The next one will definitely be Commander Zhao's house. If you don't believe me, watch. A few people didn't believe what Lu Zayadai said. Mr. Zhao and Dr. Guo are both of high rank. They don't seem to live in the family compound, right? Lu Zayadai suddenly remembered this fact and hurriedly changed her words. That's what I meant. She only flatters and has close contact with the families of senior generals. She will never give a penny to the families of our middle and low-level officers. You see, they came out of Commander Ye's house and entered Chief of Staff Wu's house, right? Chief of Staff Wu's revolutionary partner Huang Xiaozi has a good relationship with them. When everyone heard what Lu Zayadai said, they all looked over in unison. Sure enough, they saw Huang Xiaozi welcoming Feng Qingxiu and his wife in while talking and laughing. They had also been in contact with Huang Xiaozi, but they had never seen Huang Xiaozi so happy as she was today, with a smile as bright as the sun in the sky. The climate in the plateau area is strange. It snowed 2 days ago, but today the sun came out, and the warm warmth immediately melted away the snow. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 772. Although they live in the same family compound, the living standards of the families of senior generals and the families of middle and low-level officers are different. As a result, they do not have much contact with each other on a daily basis. The families of middle and low-level officers prefer to interact with family members of the same rank. Moreover, the country people and the country people are one group, and the city people and the city people are the same group, and they are clearly distinct. The family members who often interacted with Luzaidai were all the same as Luzaidai and Jinfeng. Their husbands were middle and low-level military officers, and they themselves came from the countryside. They had similar thoughts and similar opinions, and they got along extremely comfortably. Even if they occasionally quarrel over trivial matters, they won't break their skin. Actually, she comes from the countryside just like us, Luzaidai continued. She just learned a capitalist style. She dresses like a vixen and is more sophisticated than city people. We all use the clothes from the compound. There are public toilets, but their family builds a separate toilet in the yard for their own use. They change their son's clothes every day. Who has a child like theirs who has 100 clothes to change? There are separate towels for wiping your face and washing your feet. You have your own enamel jar, you have your own enamel jar for entertaining guests, you have your own enamel jar for brushing your teeth. The couple applied the cream, and Brigadier Lu followed suit. How much does snake oil ointment cost? They use it as a cream. They also have woolen blankets, towel quilts, cashmere jackets, and leather vests, all of which are not as good as those of our revolutionary friends. It's a bad element and a big landowner. It's really unfair to allow such a bad element to reach such a high position. Hearing such a thing, everyone's eyes were immediately opened. Really? Sister-in-law, is everything you said true? Is their family's life really so luxurious? I was in the capital, and I heard people mention that the life of the old leader was not as luxurious as theirs. The old leader could hardly wipe his feet or wipe his face. It's a patched towel. They live a better life than the old leader? How can this be? We usually have to live frugally, but they spend extravagantly. It's really infuriating. Big landowners. Oh my God, how can a person with this background be allowed to be a brigade commander? They are the exploiting class, and we are the working class. We must fight them down and not let them put pressure on us. Brigadier Lu, he is the son of a big landowner, and Feng Qingxiu must have a bad background, right? Hearing Jin Feng ask this, others nodded. They all knew that good people marry good people, and bad people can only marry bad people. From what Lu Zayadai said, we can tell that Feng Qingxiu's style must be it's a bad ingredient. Lu Zayadai replied, didn't I tell you? She is from a poor peasant background, and somehow she married Brigadier Lu. When these words came out, it was like a drop of water entering a pan of oil. The oil splashed everywhere and burned the skin of people. Poor peasant? How can a poor peasant marry a landlord? Aren't our ancestors exploited enough? It's a disgrace to us poor and lower middle peasants. Yes, it's really embarrassing. Do you think that Brigadier Lu has a high status in the army and a high salary, so her family married her to Brigadier Lu regardless of her background? That must be the case. If not, there is no other explanation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 773. Lu Zayadai was ridiculed in her hometown for giving birth to a daughter, and lived a very depressed life. After coming to the army, although she and Feng Qingxiu had a few quarrels at first because they did not agree with each other, and then she was scolded by her husband, but these subsequent changes before her, the family members who accompany the army are very kind to her, and she especially enjoys the feeling that everyone takes her as the leader. Listening to everyone's indignation and denunciation of Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu word by word, Lu Zayadai was very happy and felt sweeter than eating candy. If it weren't for money and power, would a good daughter of a poor peasant marry a landlord's son? Lu Zayadai vowed. When you think about it, it feels unfair. We working people have worked so hard, but we can't compare to someone who gets a month's salary. The most irritating thing about her salary is that she shows off her son every day. Isn't she just mocking me for giving birth to a loser? At this point, she touched her belly and said viciously, I am already pregnant. I will give birth to a son for her and let her know that she is not the only one in the world who can give birth to a son. Having a son is a small matter. The leader said that women can hold up half the sky. Tell us about other things, Jin Feng said. What's the matter? Lu Zayadai was a little confused. It's the landlord's business, Jin Feng urged, looking particularly excited. Those wealthy landlords are the worst and most ruthless. They often plunder, and use the blood and sweat of the working people to accumulate their wealth. Brigadier Lu's family, it must be like this, right? Farmers are required to pay rent even if the weather is not good. If they don't pay rent, they will be tortured. The people have no food and clothing. They eat fish and meat every day. When eating fish, they only eat fish eyes, and when they eat chicken, they only eat chicken feet. It's chicken feet, so my son and daughter-in-law learn the ways of capitalism. Lu Zayadai hesitated for a moment. I don't know about that. I've never met the landlord Lao Cai. I know that their home was ransacked a long time ago. Brigadier Lu's father now lives in a cowshed. Jin Feng felt very regretful after hearing this. It would be great if you knew everything and told us. To be honest, she was quite curious. I only know things in the army, not their family. If you want to know, just ask others. Isn't Niu Yubeo your husband's subordinate? He seems to have been to the Lu family and participated in the events of Brigadier Lu and Feng Qingxiu. Wedding Lu Zayadai said. Suddenly someone asked, Brigadier Lu's status is so bad, why doesn't anyone report him to the police? Lu Zayadai was stunned and looked at Cao Hongju, who spoke. Cao Hongju's husband is Li Shuitian, director of the political department, and she has a good relationship with her husband Jin Hong, so her relationship with Cao Hongju is better than that with Jin Feng, but Cao Hongju doesn't like to talk much. Report? Report what? Cao Hongju said plausibly, report them for being soldiers despite having low academic qualifications. Report them for nepotism. Report them for restoration of capitalism. Isn't it stipulated by the state that the brats of the fifth category are not allowed to go to college, and the army is not allowed to recruit those with the fifth category? You bastard, government agencies are not allowed to accept such bastards, and factories are not allowed to recruit such bastards. Brigadier Lu and his wife accepted bribes. When I came, the education movement in our hometown should be cleaned up. At this time, the cotters from above have driven out many urban and rural cotters who did not do good things and were corrupt and nepotistic. It is really refreshing. The more Cao Hongju talked, the more excited she became, and she had the aura to seek justice for the people. What to do if you are blocked? It's obscure enough. Please vote. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 774. When she got excited, Cao Hongju couldn't stop talking. She waved her arms and foamed at the mouth. The two blushes on her cheeks couldn't hide the excitement coming from her bones. The country opposes corruption and theft, extravagance and waste, and speculation. They accept high-priced goods from soldiers, which is corruption and theft. They use a towel to wipe their faces and wipe their feet with a towel, and prepare several enamel jars for drinking tea. This is extravagance and waste. It must be dealt with seriously. Cao Hongju's eyes bulged. Jin Feng said cautiously, it's not to that extent, is it? Aren't the ingredients bad? Why are you talking about this again? She has been doing these sports for the past 2 years, and she knows it. Cao Hongju spat out a mouthful of spittle and said, it's because the ingredients are not good that you do these things that violate national regulations. Lu Zayadai, Jin Feng, and others were dumbfounded, each thinking deeply. At the same time, Chen Juxian was extremely bored, so she took her baby son Qi Xiang out to play. He happened to hear Lu Zayadai talking bad things about Feng Qingxiu. She immediately stopped because she had a deep grudge against Feng Qingxiu. Feet, listen carefully. He is also a son, but everyone in the army likes Zibao and dislikes Qi Xiang. As an officer, Lu Zhang was clearly a few ranks lower than Qi Gang. He was just a brigade commander, but his popularity was better than Qi's. When officers in the army had dinner parties, they often called him Lu Zhang instead of Qi Gang. The most unbearable thing for Chen Ju is that Feng Qingxiu is stronger than herself. He was specially recruited into the army and soon achieved first-class merit. That's all. Chen Ju relies on her beauty, but she is not as good as Feng Qingxiu in appearance. Among all the female soldiers and all their family members in the entire army, almost no one can compare with her. They are not as good looking as her, not as white as her, not as good as her. She has an elegant temperament and gets more tolerance because of her outstanding appearance. Officers and soldiers, big and small, were full of praise for her. Almost no one said a bad word about her. Most of the military family members, boys and girls, big and small, also liked her. Chen Ju, who has lived among the stars and the moon since childhood, is very jealous. Her jealousy is different from that of Lu Zayadai and others. Lu Zayadai and others were jealous of Feng Qingxiu, but they were jealous of their good life and their children. So after listening to Cao Hengju's long speech, Chen Ju's eyes lit up and she immediately took action. When Lu Zayadai and others dispersed to go home to do housework, she stopped Cao Hengju. "Sister-in-law, what's wrong with calling me?" Cao Hengju's attitude became respectful when she saw Chen Ju. "Can I be disrespectful?" Deputy Commander Qi Gang's wife gave birth to Deputy Commander Qi's only son. Among the family members of the army, Commander Ye's partner has a higher status than her, and the others are not as good as her. What Cao Hengju admires the most is Chen Ju's courage to break the shackles of feudalism and love freely. Chen Ju smiled and said, "I heard everything you just said." Cao Hengju was stunned for a moment, but she didn't feel guilty at all. She said confidently, "Sister-in-law, those words of mine are right. I have always strictly followed all the instructions issued by the leader and will follow them to the end. Even if it is spread, I will not be afraid. Leader, the instructions and orders are always the most correct. You don't know how many corrupt thieves and opportunists have been defeated in the past 2 years. Which of us ordinary people are not applauding? Brigadier Lu has a poor background and lives a luxurious life, so he should be punished." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 775. Chen Ju was very happy to hear this, and she also felt that Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu should be fought. When they are all unlucky, look at how they are tyrannical in the army, and look at how the fat guy Zibao is loved by others. Now everyone loves him, isn't it just because of his father's influence? If Lu Zhang was just a soldier, then no senior general would look at Zibao in a different light. Chen Ju understands the benefits of power better than anyone else. Just like her, she was originally a female high school student from a poor family. No matter how hard she worked hard to go to school, she suffered from the sarcasm and unfair treatment of patriarchal girls. Until she met Qi Gang, married Qi Gang, and gave birth to a son to Qi Gang. Which of the neighbors, including my parents and brothers, didn't say 1,000 words of flattery with a smiling face when they saw me? When she went back to her parents' home, even the cadres of the municipal and county committees greeted her with smiles and made all arrangements for food and accommodation. I didn't say you were wrong. You are following the right path by following the leader's ideas. Hearing what Chen Ju said, Cao Hengju felt relieved at once, and a smile and enthusiasm reappeared on his face. Of course, every word and sentence of the leader is correct. We must obey the leader's instructions and clear those unclear things and the bad habits of those bad elements. Since you think so, then take action, Chenju encouraged. Without reporting, there will be no cotters from above to investigate, and we, who are really prosperous, will not get justice. Action, Cao Hongja bit her lower lip. Chenju smiled softly. Without action, how could the higher UPS find out about the unfairness below? Do you think so? We all work for the old leader, and of course we must help the old leader get rid of the black sheep below. Cao Hongja nodded heavily. Sister-in-law is right, we can't pretend we didn't see this. Oh, by the way, don't give your report letter to the army. There are too many people in the army who are good to the couple, so it may not be accepted. If it is sent to the leaders in the capital who specialize in managing this aspect, the result will be different. Chenju reminded. Cao Hongju immediately took it to heart and hurriedly wrote the report letter. Looking at Cao Hongju's back, Chenju was cheerful and smiled happily. She couldn't stop the smile on her face after being happy all day long. Qi Gang, who came home in the evening, was very surprised when he saw her. Have you encountered anything good? Qi Gang asked while taking off his military coat. Before Chenju could answer the question, their precious sons threw down the chicken cakes in their hands and jumped up, stamping their feet on the Kong. Dad, ride a big horse. Get down and let me ride a big horse. Okay, Daddy lets you ride a big horse. Qi Gang, who had always been submissive to his son, immediately took off his shoes and lay down on the Kong. His fat son, who weighed 40 to 50 pounds, sat on his back, almost breaking his spine. Drive. Drive, Qi Xiang patted his father's head unceremoniously. Climb quickly, drive. Qi Gang carried his son on his back and climbed up and down on the Kong. Chenju, who was used to it, did not feel that his son's attitude towards his father lacked respect, and told Qi Gang what happened today with a smile. As soon as Qi finished listening, he stopped and frowned. You go to Comrade Cao Hongja tomorrow to stop her behavior and don't cause trouble in the army. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 776. As soon as Qi Gang stopped, Qi Liang, who was riding a big horse, became unhappy and slapped Qi Gang on the back of the head with his fat palms. Climb quickly, crawl quickly, don't stop, listen to my command, drive. Drive. Very fierce and powerful. While Qi Gang continued to crawl, he repeated what he had just said to Chenju. Chenju curled her lips and said, Why should I stop you? I won't. I can't stand how Lu Jiang, Feng Qingxiu and that fat guy Lu Zibao are showing off their power in the army. It makes our family of 3 feel miserable and have no one playing with our Dabao. If it weren't for her, would my job have been replaced by Yang Hongfei? She joined the army as a medical corpsman, and soon she was promoted to a first-class meritorious service, and she even went on a business trip to the capital. What? How can a country woman with no education be so famous? Don't talk about your jealousy in front of me. Have you forgotten Comrade Feng Qingxiu's character and methods? Have you forgotten the feeling of beating your hand last time? The back of your hand has been swollen for several days. Qi Gang couldn't help but remind her. Everyone knows that Feng Qingxiu never suffers. He is resourceful, temperamental, and popular, and his daily conduct is impeccable. Except for Lu Jiang's composition, which is a little flawed, there is nothing wrong with their family. Lu Jiang's achievements are enough to offset the bad composition. Qi Gang knows the facts better than anyone else and will not murder his comrade secretly. Comrade Chenju, you must convey my words to Comrade Cao Hongju, and this behavior must stop. Qi Gang looked very serious. Soldiers, especially officers, have high wages and good treatment, and many high-priced goods are provided first. Troops, you know this well. Didn't you spend more than half of my salary like this? The lives of Brigadier Lu and Comrade Feng Qingxiu are not considered extravagant and wasteful. The comrades spent money to buy some nutritional supplements for Zibao out of good intentions. Didn't our family receive any nutritional supplements from our comrades? When Qi Xiang was born, you didn't have milk, so everyone had to cobble together milk powder and other nutritional supplements. Have you forgotten? It's different, how can they compare with us? Chenju got angry when she mentioned this. 100 people bought things for Zibao, but only 3 or 5 were bought by Qi Xiang. It was really unfair. In the end, it was all the Lu family's fault. Without Lu Zibao, his son would have been the most popular child in the army. Qi Gang frowned and said, "Aren't they all the same? Why are they different? Comrade Chenju, Comrade Lu Zhang and Comrade Feng Qingxiu are not easy to mess with. They are also very lucky. They are very popular with Comrade Commander Chen and Comrade Ye. Trust me, they have no interest entanglement with our family, so don't cause trouble, I'm afraid it won't end well. Just because Lu Zhang is Commander Ye's arm, we have to cut off Commander Ye's arm. If Commander Ye loses power, won't you become the full commander? I don't think anyone except Comrade Commander Ye can, and he'll yell at me." Qi Gang scolded, "Don't engage in intrigues in the army. This is the army. You go to Comrade Cao Hongzhi tomorrow." Although Qi Gang wanted to replace Ye Zhenjun, he only wanted to be promoted based on merit rather than persecuting his 2 comrades, Ye Zhenjun and Lu Zhang. Chenju promised Qi Gang, but actually did not take any action. She did not stop Cao Hongzhi's behavior at all, and allowed Cao Hongzhi to leave the army with a report letter, cross thousands of mountains and rivers, and send it to the capital. Chapter 7, Please vote. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 777. The report to the Senior General of the Border Defense Force was of course sent to a higher level department in the capital, and then was transferred to the old leader. Zibao had only left the capital for a few months, and his plump appearance was still vivid in his mind. The first people to bear the brunt of the report letter were Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu. They were Zibao's parents. Everyone knew about it. How could they not act cautiously? Because several meetings were held in the capital after New Year's Day and the work was not over yet, neither of them left the capital. Lu Zhang and Zhao Yang were brought out by Ye Zhenjun. He read the contents of the report letter without saying a word, mainly because it was not only Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu who were reported, but also senior generals such as Qi Gang and Chenju and their families. Commander Chen slapped his hand on the thigh and said in a loud voice, "Old leader, there are many falsehoods in the letter. We must investigate them carefully and make sure that these comrades in the letter are innocent." "Are you so sure that someone framed them?" the old leader asked curiously. Commander Chen looked serious. "I can't be sure about the other people for a while. I have to go back and investigate before I can give you the answer, but I can guarantee the innocence of Xiao Lu and Feng Qingxiu. To say that their living standards are higher, we can't deny it, both of them are paid. Xiao Lu has been in the army for 15 or 6 years, and he gets a monthly allowance, which adds up to about 200 yuan. The family of 3 has no other burdens, and they have plenty of money. Xiao Lu's hometown is very busy. I sent some food to the army to cook for my grandson, which greatly reduced the burden on the army. I am not kidding. Since their family sent food, if Comrade Qingxiu is at home, Xiao Lu is in the cafeteria. The meal is only half of the usual amount, and the half saved will be cheaper for other soldiers." Ye Zhenjun intervened at the right time. "All soldiers, including those in charge of the cooking squad, can testify." The old leader nodded slightly. "With high salary and good treatment, and a higher standard of living, it is not a big deal at all. I have to eat braised pork once or twice a week. As long as you have a high ideological consciousness and are not corrupt or corrupt, you are a good comrade. Don't worry about this. I can guarantee that Comrade Lu Zhang and Comrade Feng Qingxiu are absolutely good comrades. Commander Chen patted his heart. Our army is so strictly managed, how can we let them people with backward ideas take advantage of this? At the end of the year, I don't go over it with several political commissars from top to bottom. The report letter said they had been embezzled and bribed. How do you explain this? Su Junchu asked. Ye Zhenjun said seriously, corruption? Comrade Lu Zhang and Comrade Feng Qingxiu don't care about logistics and are not responsible for distributing wages, rations, clothing, and equipment. What are they embezzling? When it comes to corruption, it is most likely the logistics department, not the two of them. There are comrades in the army who like to buy snacks for Zibao to tease him. They are usually single and unburdened soldiers who do it voluntarily. The little guy is the first kid to come to our army. He is white and plump and can be recruited. It was strange. When I saw him, some people, like Commander Chen and me, thought that we had not been with our children in their childhood, and they could not help but empathize with Zibao. The letter reported that Comrade Lu Zhang and Comrade Feng Qingxiu were embezzling and accepting bribes, which was absolutely unacceptable. Impossible. There is no need for them to do such a thing to affect their future. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 778. Commander Chen added, let me tell the truth in front of several leaders. The supply of each soldier is limited according to his rank. Let alone them, if anyone in our army has a child who is waiting for food at home, or when a soldier went home to meet his partner, which time did his comrades not scrape together something like malted milk luncheon meat and send it back or take it back? This situation is really normal. Not to mention in the army, even in various government agencies and factories, we help each other like this. When your family's conditions are not good, I will help you, and you will help me when I am in need. There is no corruption or bribery, and there is no speculation. Ye Zhenjun continued what Commander Chen said, it's the soldiers in the army who buy things for their children. Although Comrade Lu Zhang and Comrade Feng Qingxiu didn't give them money, they didn't get it for free. I remember that Xiao Wang from the service club wore a new pair of shoes. Comrade Feng Qingxiu did it. Many soldiers got frostbite, and it was Comrade Lu Zhang who used the snake oil ointment brought by Comrade Qingxiu to rub the affected areas. I don't know if it was Han Ping or Sang Hong. He had suffered from frostbite during the war 2 years ago. My arms and legs are broken, my joints are aching, the knee pads were made by Comrade Feng Qingxiu, and the medicated oil was also prepared by her. I heard this from my wife. I am not sure, but I can be sure that the shoes on my feet must be light. Comrade Shui made them for me. My husband was not in the army at the time, and my shoes were worn out, with holes in the soles and a hole in the top of the shoes. The old leader said, listening to what you said, they are not considered corrupt or bribery at all. They did not open the door to others just because they accepted other people's things. They always returned gifts afterwards. They are good comrades. Wang Xinchen felt relieved. He and the Lu family were fellow villagers, so it was not convenient for him to interrupt. He couldn't bear Lu Shui's straight temper. It's nothing more than corruption and bribery. The person who wrote this letter of report has bad intentions and wants to destroy internal unity. The people who reported the report are all senior generals, but which senior general's salary and allowances are not high. His life must be better than that of soldiers. Be stronger. Lu Shui's voice was loud and full of energy. If this form of corruption is considered bribery, then if the folks from my hometown come to ask for help and bring me some local products, am I also considered corruption and bribery? I paid every time, the old leader can testify. The old leader smiled and nodded, yes, I can testify for you, and you can testify for me. I gave Zibeo's family money a few months ago before he went there, and neither of us took advantage of the common people. The issue of corruption and bribery can be put aside, and the issue of Comrade Lu Jiang's bad status does not need to be mentioned again. No one is allowed to mention it in the future. Although his father is a big landowner, he has devoted his whole family to supporting the anti-Japanese war and has not asked the government so far to collect debts. Comrade Lu Jiang is now a revolutionary soldier. He has taken the lead and survived several times, and has made countless contributions, large and small. He has used his own merits to make up for the mistakes of his ancestors. Everyone listened and responded with a smile. Even Sujunchu continued, there must be an answer to the question of extravagance and waste. Commander Chen said, extravagant and wasteful? In the past 2 years, apart from the military uniforms and shoes issued by the army, I have not seen Comrade Lu Jiang and Comrade Feng Qingxiu wearing any new clothes. No matter how you say it, we are all suspected of covering up. The old leader might as well send the cadres in charge of this area will go back to the army with us to investigate and collect evidence, and check the few things I can't guarantee, so as not to suspect us of leaking information. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 779. Commander Chen and Ye Zhenjun are very confident. They are regular visitors to the Lu family. No one knows better than them what the Lu family is like. Apart from the high-priced food everyone gave Zibeo, apart from the food subsidies from their hometown, apart from the fact that Zibeo has grown taller and wears 1 or 2 new clothes. Their home is no different from other people's homes, the only difference is probably that Feng Qingxiu likes to be clean, the house is neatly tidied, and it looks pleasing to the eye. As for using a towel for wiping your face and feet, and having a few more enamel jars at home, these are all trivial matters. Things that cost just a few cents are piled on the counter every day in service shops, and often no one buys them. If food is not precious, what is extravagance and waste? Besides, who has a high living standard and doesn't have a few enamel jars and enamel basins? Probably because Feng Qingxiu lived a meticulous life, so in the eyes of others, she was extravagant and wasteful. The old leader patted the report letter in front of him and said, "Here is the letter. The letter is conclusive. No matter what you say, especially the report of your deputy commander Qi Gang's corruption, bribery, extravagance, and waste, and private exploitation of soldiers, we must not take it lightly. We have to have someone take this trip and we will know what is right and what is wrong." Everyone present nodded. It was related to the internal affairs of the army and must be thoroughly investigated before we can rest assured. As for who to send, everyone's eyes were on the old leader. "Xinchen, you and the Lu family are from the same hometown, and you have a good relationship with Zibeo. You should not go, so as not to leave a scandal to others." What the old leader said made Wang Xinchen immediately lose his face. "I still want to meet Zibeo. Since he left, my Hua family often talks about him, but you don't give me this chance." Hearing Zibeo call Wang Zonghua, he got used to it, so Wang Xinchen stopped calling him Zonghua, and Wang Zonghua protested in vain. Sujunchu wanted to go there. After asking for permission, the old leader shook his head and said, "Everyone in the courtyard knows about the fight between Zibeo and your child. Your brother is a division commander in the army and has room for advancement. You are not suitable to investigate this matter." "Old leader, do you want me to go?" Zhang Yun, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said. "You can't do it either," the old chief said. "Don't think I don't know that your precious daughter and Zibeo's wife have a very good relationship. Anyone who has a good or bad relationship with the person being reported is not allowed to go." Lu Shui volunteered and said, "Old chief, why don't you let me go? I'm not good with them." The old leader thought for a while, nodded and said, "Okay, just come back in May for the meeting. You go and let Kui Xiaoyuan follow you." Kui Xiaoyuan is a confidant promoted by the old leader. Who among the people present does not know this? Lu Shui said with a smile, "Okay, Kui Xiaoyuan and I will ask the people who are following us to prepare together, and we will set off now. Taking a plane will save time and effort. Old boss, when we come back, you will have to reimburse us." "How can a business trip not be reimbursed?" the old chief asked back, and everyone laughed. "What about us?" Commander Chen asked. The old leader pondered for a moment, "Don't go back for now. I have new work arrangements for you. You can go back after the meeting in May. There have been no major wars in the border defense recently, so you don't need to come forward. Deputy Commander, etc. Everyone can manage it well." "Oh, the Deputy Commander has been reported, let's wait until the results come out." Chapter 10, Please vote. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 780. Naturally, everyone followed the words of the old leader. After everyone else dispersed, the old leader left Lu Shui and Kui Xiaoyuan alone. Everyone knew that the old leader had something to tell them, so they were not surprised. They all knew that what the old leader could not tolerate most was corruption and bribery. He probably told Lu Shui and Kui Xiaoyuan to thoroughly investigate this issue in the army. Those who are reported may not necessarily be corrupt and bribery, and those who are not reported may not be honest. Sure enough, the old leader said directly to Lu Shui and Kui Xiaoyuan, "I'll tell you two things." "You said it," Lu Shui said, and Kui Xiaoyuan nodded. The old leader said sternly, "The first thing is your purpose. Find the whistleblower, conduct overt and covert investigations, and carefully determine whether the people listed in the whistleblower letter are corrupt, bribery, extravagant and wasteful. You must not tolerate the slightest bit of tolerance, and you cannot tolerate any government agencies and institutions. All kinds of behaviors that occur when military cadres are corrupted by the bourgeoisie." Lu Shui and Kui Xiaoyuan said in unison, "Don't worry, we are socialist fighters and will not condone rape." The old leader hummed, "Before, I only mentioned Comrade Lu Zhang and Comrade Feng Qingxiu in front of everyone, but not Comrade Qi Gang and Comrade Shan Qingming. What you need to focus on investigating is Comrade Qi Gang and his wife, and Comrade Shan Qingming. Shan Qingming is another heavyweight general in the whistleblower letter. He serves as the director of the logistics department in the Border Defense Force. Just like what Commander Chen and Ye Zhenjun said, the person who is most susceptible to corruption is by no means Lu Zhang, who leads the troops. Food, clothing, and housing are all arranged by the army, so there is no way for corruption. People who manage logistics can make a fortune just by reporting some losses." Lu Shui was stunned. Kui Xiaoyuan reacted quickly and said respectfully, "Old leader, please rest assured, I will remember it." Since following the old leader, he has been secretly trying to figure out the old leader's thoughts. He would unpack the old leader's words word for word before thinking about it. It is this intention that has allowed him to achieve his current status and be highly praised by the old leader. Trust. He could always guess 50% of what the old leader was thinking. In recent months, there has been some unhappiness between the old leader and several other leaders. Others may not take it seriously and think it is just a matter of different opinions, but Kui Xiaoyuan takes it to heart. He knows this is a signal. The old leader cannot tolerate corruption by anyone. This is one of them. The second is that Lu Jiang's position in the army is neither high nor low. In the country, his power and influence are insignificant. As long as he does not engage in corruption or bribery, nothing will happen to him. Maybe he can be a blessing in disguise. If he does, then I'm sorry. The third and most important point is that Qi Gang and Shan Qingming followed leaders who quarreled with their old leaders. The old leader nodded to Kui Xiaoyuan, The actions of the senior generals of the army affect thousands of soldiers below. Those children have all left their homes thousands of miles to serve the country. They have been unable to see their families for 3 or 2 years. We cannot allow them to do so. Corruption among senior generals has created a bad capitalist culture. Therefore, the second thing is to thoroughly investigate all the generals in the border defense forces and military region headquarters. I have to find out all the corrupt elements. This is what you are going to investigate. Top priority. Is it just a trivial matter to investigate Lu Zhang and others? Lu Shui calculated the time and said, according to what you said, even if we go by plane, we want to come back before the meeting in May. Time is a bit tight, so we have to leave as soon as possible.